Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Left to Flip TV. Today we have a very serious topic to talk about. Right now in the US there is a situation that shocks the whole world. Even though I'm in Dominican Republic, we see the news, we watch the videos, so we are all aware of what is going on. I wanted to talk about this and give my opinion about it. But I saw that this guy, Jocko Willink, released a video talking about police, protesters, and people. That's how it's called. Now, Jocko wrote one of my favorite books called Extreme Ownership. It has taught me that you have a responsibility with every decision you make. If things go sideways, it is your responsibility to take care of the situation. Jocko has become a very important person in my life, and it is someone I respect. So I wanted to see this video, and I wanted to see it with you guys, and to see what he has to say about this whole situation. Let's get into the video.
Something happened on Christmas Eve in 1914 in the trenches, World War I, during the Battle of Ypres. And World War I was the most sickening of wars as far as I can tell. A world of death and destruction and fire and pain and mud and suffering. And as the British prepared for an attack that Christmas Eve, they heard the Germans, their enemy, across the way. And they heard the Germans laughing and singing Christmas carols. And eventually, the Germans called out, "Come on over, Tommy," which was slang for a British soldier, and they said, "We won't fire at you." And eventually, the British cautiously started to head over. And the Germans came out and started to head over. They head toward each other, and eventually they all met in no man's land. And when they got there, they talked, and they laughed, and they sang, and they joked, and they told stories. And the legend is that they even played some soccer. And most important, at that moment, they saw each other as humans, as fellow human beings. And eventually, as the morning came on, they all went back to their trenches. And when they got back to their trenches, they put down their weapons. They sat there and they yelled jokes back and forth. And they didn't fight. And for a couple days, there was peace. And the soldiers thought to themselves, what are we even fighting for? How did we end up here? And why are we killing each other? And these soldiers on both sides, the Germans and the British, realized that their supposedly monstrous enemy, they were just other men.
So, listening to this story about the war, two things get my attention. First of all, sports unify people. And the second is, it's surprising how to these soldiers, they were killing each other, and they thought that we're the same, but we're just following orders. We don't understand from people we don't know. I don't know, it's makes you think.
Other men with different backgrounds and different cultures and different languages, but they realized that their enemy were just men like them. They realized that they were all people. And on the third day, the Germans were ordered from high command to shoot their machine guns. And so the Germans told the British what time they were going to shoot. And they said they were going to shoot high, so the British should get low and take cover around that certain time to make sure nobody got hurt.
Is this true?
And that's what happened.
About that.
The Germans shot high, and no one got hurt. And another couple of days of peace went by, but then an order came from the British headquarters. And it said that anyone found fraternizing with the enemy would be court-martialed. And if they were not fighting the enemy and they were found guilty of that, they would be executed. And the generals got their way. They got what they wanted. And that night, the war, the horrendous war on that patch of land commenced again. And the bombs and the mortars and the fire and the bullets, they all came to extract their toll and destroy and maim and kill these men on both sides. And that is an awful end to a beautiful story. It takes that beautiful story and turns it into a nightmare.
I'm sorry, but am I the one who's feeling a little bit for the Germans for the first time in my whole life? Like, for the first time, I'm actually thinking about the Germans as people who were following orders, and not all of them were Nazis. Not all of them hated the British. Not all of them wanted to do what they were doing. They were forced to. And actually to hear this story about how the Germans were trying to save the British from getting hurt and letting them know when they were going to attack, and how betrayed many of them felt when the British attacked unannounced. And it might be the first time ever that I think about the German soldiers as good people in my whole life. Am I the only one? Or am I crazy?
But in that story, there's a glimpse of hope. The hope is that we as human beings can see other people as human beings. And I know we can. And I know it's not always easy, but we need to do this on both sides of the trenches. And if you're a protester looking at a police officer or looking at a National Guard soldier, please take a moment to remember that that police officer or that soldier is a son or a father or a mother or a daughter or a brother or a sister. Remember that that soldier or that officer is a person. And if you are a police officer or you're a soldier and you're looking at a protester or even a rioter, please remember the same thing, that you are looking at a person. a person like you. A person with a family, a person with aspirations, a person with hope, a person with pain and sadness and joy and misery, a person with hate and a person with love. A person like you. Look, it can be easy to dehumanize others. And when we dehumanize, we separate people from who we are, from what we are. And it becomes easy to hate them because they are different from us. Well, I'm telling you, they are not that different. The person you are looking at, that is a person. And yes, they're angry, and yes, they're frustrated, and yes, they're scared, and they're tired, and they're fed up, and they're aggravated. And they're full of potential. And they are deeply flawed. In other words, they are a person. Just like you. Please remember that. Be safe out there. And try to take care of one another.
Really deep. I didn't want to interrupt a lot of it. So I let him talk. There are a couple things that caught my attention. The fact that this is a guy who knows firsthand violence, not people that are in the street and they might turn to you. No, people that have a gun looking for you to kill you. To hear from him how police officers have to understand, or should understand, that the person in front of them, though protesting, though rioting, are a human being, I think it's very important. And it's also interesting how he, being a member of the force, is talking to the people that are seeing the military and not understanding that they are more than an institution. I think that right now both sides are being hurt. When I saw the video of George Floyd, it made me disgusted. But I think more people are forgetting the numbers, the statistics, and everything else, and focusing on the feelings. And what they're doing is that they're hurting a lot more people. I say this with all the sensibility in the world, and I feel for the people that have saved their whole lives and have started their business. People that are from minority groups, Latinos, Black people, single mothers that have started a business, and they have received the call that it was burnt to the ground. I don't think that's right, and I can understand racism. You don't solve a violence problem with more violence. So that is all I have to say for this video. I hope to see you next time on a happier tone, on a happier video. But I think this was important, and I really liked listening to Jocko talk about this issue from a Navy SEAL's point of view, from the force point of view, which is something that I haven't seen during this protest and during this time. So if you agree with what I'm saying or not, feel free to leave a comment, and I would like to have a peaceful debate with you and learn from what you have to say, even though it's different from what I know and what I understand from this situation. Again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you on the next video. Thank you.